Just to start off, a lot of you guys know me and I've met you before during different things. I know several of y'all were in our CERT program, so we'll start off with that one simple question. Who is this guy and why is he here? My name is Courtney Taylor, Director of Gordon County Emergency Management since April of this past year. Been in public safety for about 20 years. Started back in 1998 as a telecommunications officer in the 911 center. And just to be real honest with you, I had got fired from my one job. They were hiring, so I thought, well, I'll do this public safety thing till I find something better, and we're about 20 years into it. And I guess I ain't found nothing better and nobody else will take me, whichever one that goes there. Over the past 20 years, I've become certified as a professional emergency manager, Georgia certified police officer, Georgia certified firefighter. I don't know why my computer keeps going off. And I'm a nationally registered EMT along with tons of hours of other training. I'm gonna have to get my IT guy here.
Jiggle mouse.
All right, just keep jiggling it. All right. And also, not sure what year we had that class.
Is his connection good though, or something?
It keeps throwing up a filter warning.
Oh.
Well, I'll just keep my
Which means
finger.
you really do need to climb up there.
Hey, Woodrow told me all the equipment here was good, so we're good. We'll keep moving along. Not sure what year I became ham certified, but I am KI4TUF, which was pretty cool to get that tough moniker, although I'm not that tough, but I kind of liked it when it came through. Just a little brief overview of emergency management. It was established to replace what used to be called civil defense back during the Cold War days, and then it ended up transforming into emergency management. In many areas, including the Georgia State Office, which is Georgia Emergency Management Team, and it's also the Office of Homeland Security. So it's beginning to take on that role for Homeland Security as well. And the main job of EMA is in Gordon County. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
Disaster.
It's to ensure Gordon County is constantly preparing for emergencies or disasters. And when we do that, we talk about the 5 phases of emergency management. All right. Maybe it's frustrating me more than it is you guys. When you talk...
Wave your arms real big, we'll look over here.
Do what now?
Wave your arms real big, we'll look over here instead over here.
I'll just hold my computer up. The 5 phases of emergency management, when you talk about, we look at all those in everything we do really when we're preparing for these emergencies and disasters. First one is mitigation, which is making changes to limit impacts. When you're talking about things like that, we're talking about things like identifying areas that flood a lot and raising the roads, doing mitigation activities to lessen the impact the next time that disaster rolls through. Prevention is your preventative measures such as design standards and evacuation plans, building codes, different things like that we can do to once again help alleviate. Preparedness, that's a constant one. Training, equipping, and exercising. We're doing that on a daily basis, something with that part. We're constantly training in public safety here, which is a good thing. We have a good relationship with all our public safety agencies. We're required to do 2 exercises a year, 1 full scale one every 4 years. And we've pretty much set our standard as we do a full scale every year. We've done 2 full scale exercises this year. We did we completed one in August at our Calhoun Outlet Center, which was a domestic dispute that turned into a kidnapping, that turned into a hostage situation, that turned into a shooting situation. So had that one on a Sunday morning in August. And here just a couple of weeks ago, we did one at Georgia Northwestern Technical College, which was an active shooter drill. And both drills had all public safety agencies in the county involved, from 911, both law enforcement, both fire, emergency management, and EMS. So we're blessed in that area where we don't. Lots of areas, which a lot of you have been around public safety a lot, and Woodrow could tell you, they don't they don't play that well together sometimes. So we're blessed to have good department heads here that see that as important. So when it gets really bad in real life, we're already working together on stuff. Under response, that's just what you would think it is when the crap hits the fan and we start going to work. So that emergency management's main job during that, we are, as you saw, trained, or the people that have been in the EMA and the history of Gordon County EMA are trained in all disciplines to be able to respond. But once we're in an emergency disaster, our job is to coordinate and manage resources. So we'll open up the Emergency Operations Center and take those calls for what people need from both public and responders, and our job is to get them their resources that they need. And then recovery. Once the response part's over and it's calmed down a little bit, we have to do all those steps to get us back to normalcy, as it says there, restoring critical functions and just stabilizing our county so we're back to where we started before that response came in. And it's just a continuous circle. So once that recovery is over, we go right back to mitigation. So we just continue in that cycle there. Just a little bit of history on Gordon County EMA, past and present, and Woodrow could probably give you a little more of this because he was in it when I started in it, because he's older than I am. But in 1999, I came over to the Emergency Management Office because Woodrow and the director were there, and they come up with another position, which was an operations officer. So I moved into that operations officer position at that time. Which is the way it remained until 2005, and the director at that time left to go, well, I don't remember where he went, family business.
Yeah, he went to family.
He went to a family business, which left me and Woodrow there. We were told then in 2005 that give them about 6 months and they'd replace that position and we'd have our third person back. And it's now 2017. In 2017...
Well, they didn't tell us what 6 months it would be.
Yeah, we had 6 months. We're still waiting on that 6 months period. So it was me and Woodrow for a while by ourselves, and we kept begging for it, and they kept saying no. Then Richard Cooper, I left and went to EMS for 9 years, I guess. When I left, they made Richard Cooper, who I think's been down here to some of y'all's meetings, director. He also had a deputy director. His deputy director left, then Richard Cooper left, and I came along in April, and they said give them a little while and they'll hire that second person back. So I ain't banking on it, but I'm sure hoping that we don't go from 3 down to 1. And the reason I say all that is we stay involved in lots of different things, and there's lots of things that EMA is responsible for in the county, and we like to be involved in all that. We like to do extra things that some counties don't do, such as the CERT training that some of the people in here went through, the community emergency response training. But we're also having, I say we, I guess me, but I don't like me, I like we. But we're having to look at things in a little different manner, and we're having to do things a little bit different, because when you lose 67% of your staff and you go from 3 to 1, things just can't operate the same way they did as when you had 3. The CERT training was one of the things we kind of tweaked, and we've still got to get over and do a drill, and we realize that for you guys that are in here, we're going to make that happen. But just an example, the CERT was Community Emergency Response Team, but we've kind of tweaked it and done like some others in the state have done, and made that CERT Community Emergency Response Training, which is what it was originally supposed to be. So instead of me trying to coordinate that team as a whole and keep it all together, as we go out and do these different trainings, which we had a good one at Crane Eater, we probably averaged 15 to 20 people every night, and they put that together. Well, they're now responsible for their CERT team. We will bring them the training anytime they ask. We will help them coordinate anything they want to coordinate, but we're going to put these different areas in charge of their own team.
That's what it was set up.
Do what now?
That's the way it was set up in the very beginning.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to. It was really set up in the beginning, and we kind of got it off onto this team thing where we brought everybody from the county together. But the gist of CERT is to be able to take care of your community until we can get there. So I think it was a real good training, and if anybody's interested in that, or if their church or group would like to have us come teach it, we'd love to come out there and do it and build that up. And it's not saying we can't get it back to that team thing. We just got to get a little bit of help back. And I'm hoping next budget year we'll have EM2 back. We're definitely going to push for it. So, amateur radio involvement. Like I said, I've been out of EMA for about 9, almost 10 years, but worked in EMS, so I know you guys are active in the community. And I only listed a few of the things here, but it does lead into another question. Y'all have already talked about several of these. I know the ones I could think of this year, the Run for Your Life, the Unity Run, and of course the parades. I think the next one. They don't do that. Do they do that one anymore? The Fairmount Labor, they canceled it, correct?
Canceled this year.
All right.
That's Memorial Day anyway.
Yeah.
It might have been. Was it Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Well, I've had a rough year. My memory ain't as good. I've been put to sleep too many times.
You'll be all right.
Now, under emergencies, and I'm sure y'all have, my question was there, has this group ever been activated in Gordon County for an emergency or a disaster? I'm not sure. Felton or anybody? For the tornadoes or?
About the only, Bill Woodrow called us years and years ago when the airplane crash happened. We did some logistical work. And we've been called into the EOC during some severe weather, maybe a couple of times, but other than that, that's about it.
Then we did some major training at the hospital. That one time we did.
Yeah.
We did the drill at the
We did
hospital.
the drill and stuff. More drills, but actual emergencies, about 2 that I know of that we've done as a group.
And they still have the helm set up in the EOC, is that correct? There, you got your own table there?
Yeah, they got the table in the back with the radio.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. All right. Well, that leads us into something I've mentioned to Felton and Woodrow. Today's the day, so you're going to be activated today. No, I say that, shouldn't say that because we don't want nothing bad to happen tonight. But this is where I'm going to get knowledge from you guys. Say that something happened today and I called Felton or another member or 911 or EMA, either one called, and all our public safety communications have been lost. And that is a real life scenario. It actually happened in 2002. That's why I couldn't remember if we called you guys or not. When the tornado come through Sugar Valley and then hit downtown Calhoun, we lost our tower. We only had one public safety radio tower at the time, and it took it down to the ground. So for a while there, it was just flying by the seat of your pants. So that's definitely a scenario where we could have used you guys, and I guess we just failed to make that contact at the time for whatever reason.
There was one back in the 90s when they called them ham radio operators.
In the 90s? Tornado, weather? Or
It was weather, it was straight, I think it was
Straight line winds?
winds or whatever, but it took all the communications down.
Well, we definitely should have called you for this one. We now have just a caveat to that. We now have redundancy. The only tower we had is where Felton was saying your repeater is now, up on Hillcrest Drive. That was the only tower that Calhoun and Gordon County Public Safety were on, that one tower. That was it. We quickly realized probably that morning about 4:15 a.m. when that tornado come through that wasn't a good idea. So we now have redundancy built in on the Fairmount Fire Tower. I get them mixed up. Fairmount Fire Tower over in Fairmount, obviously, and the Calhoun Fire Tower. So we've got triple redundancy there to be able to get our communications out. So it would have to be a heck of a storm to take all them out. But back to this. So I'm called one of these guys and said, hey, this has happened. We need help because we can't talk to our police, fire, and EMS, and we're opening up the EOC. So what is the process with you guys to pull those resources to get needed together? I mean, can I make that one phone call and then it roll, or that's how we would do that?
Yep.
All right. So that leads into what I would like to do, if y'all are willing to be on board with it. Probably after the first of the year sometime, January, February, whatever day would be best to, which Felton or whoever could coordinate that. The day we could have the most volunteers to come help us out. That exact scenario we just gave, I would like for us to get together and you guys get with us and conduct a drill to practice that scenario. The original thought is to place, I'm going to talk to EMS. I think they'll be willing to play with us. Place an Aries group member in 911 and on several ambulances and possibly in the emergency room to simulate that dispatch and relay of information in that scenario. So we would assign you guys to an ambulance, have somebody in 911 as that call goes in, operator in 911, they could tell them which ambulance it is, and you would actually dispatch it through just like you're a public safety dispatcher. Call out to Med 4, wait for your guy to answer on Med 4, or however y'all do that. I don't know if you'd call them Med 4 if you just know the call signs of the people. Probably the call signs, right? Is that how you'd do that? Or would you call them by ambulance?
Yeah, you can use a tactical call sign and Med 4.
Okay, good deal. Well, that would keep them more involved because they would key in on that if they heard that.
They would know they were being called.
They would know they're being called.
Would they be assembled over the air?
Well, we're so used to giving our call sign,
Yeah.
you'll say that or no.
You'll say it anyway. And I just threw in there, I mean, I hope y'all get on board and we can practice that because we can put it down as a drill, and I don't know if y'all have to do drills or if you just do them just to stay on top of your game. But we'd still have to use the public safety radios as well for recording purposes, just in case we get that one bad call that we need recorded. But we could still do them both. And
I can operate on your van.
you can what?
I said we can operate on your van with our radios
Hey, that'll work too.
if you give us authorization. If life and limb is in the line.
Oh, you talking about on the public safety frequencies?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. Hey, if that's what we got and you are there to help, I could care less.
Although I know 10 code better than I do ambulance speak.
Well, it's just plain speech.
Well, we
now.
use
There's
plain
no
English,
10 codes.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
They've gone away from 10 codes.
Well, they got the wrong alphabet. I know that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only in Gordon County, Calhoun, our police and law enforcement still use 10 codes, but fire and EMS, we just say what we mean, which is good for stupid people. Well, I'm good with that. So,
Courtney,
yes.
what about police functions? Would that be part of this exercise?
It will, as many of them as we can get to play. The only reason I put it as EMS is because I just left there and I think I can just say, hey, we're going to bring some guys over, put on your ambulance, and they'll just be like, okay. So, but that being said, going back to what I mentioned earlier, that we have a pretty good relationship, I think we could get probably one person on at least one city police car and one person in a sheriff's car, and then maybe a couple in some ambulances. And maybe we could just do police and fire would be good. The reason I thought ambulance and we'll put multiple on there is because you just never know which one of them is going to be busy. Fire's the same way. We might do the drill for 3 hours, and they may not ever get a call. So that brings up a good point. We may want it to be law enforcement because they never stop. I mean, they're constantly just go, go, go. So I could talk to the police chief and the sheriff, and I think we could get them to play along, which would probably be a really good thing. I don't think we would have a trouble pulling that off. Usually if we would do it in the morning time, your ambulances are going to be hopping pretty good, especially if we do it through the week. But if we have to do it on the weekends, we can pull that off too. So, but your law enforcement never slows down. Plus they can create stuff. I mean, that sounds bad, but, you know. Fire, you have to wait on a fire or somebody to be hurt. EMS, you gotta wait on somebody to need an ambulance. Law enforcement, there's always people out there you can pull over. So it's like, hey, find somebody to pull over. Let's make this drill work. Just make sure you got probable cause. I didn't want that to sound in a bad way there.
Lots of probable cause running around the road.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You are correct. And y'all already talked about this because I heard you cover it. Me and Woodrow just went over some things we wanted to add in, but I heard y'all when you were talking about the race saying you had to have your hat and your vest, and that's really all that was here. Make sure you have your ID available. So if roads are blocked and we need you in somewhere, it's easy for us to relay that message along to our law enforcement that we're going to have you guys coming in there to help out. So, but even in the past tornado, there were some public safety folks that couldn't get into where they needed to go because they didn't have their ID. Because the road was blocked, it was blocked. And I was like, well, I work for so-and-so. Well, where's your ID? So make sure you have that available because out there in Snorville, you wasn't getting in without an ID there for a little while. Make sure you wear your vest, which obviously y'all must make that a priority because I heard that during that. And that's just so if you're out there helping us and they see you from a distance, they don't come down there, they'll know you're a part of us. And when you come, you guys probably know this too. I know the CERT ones do because we pounded this in. Make sure you're ready to take care of yourself. So whatever your shift's going to be there, if we activate you guys for an emergency, bring your food and your water, any medicines you need, and just make sure you're ready to take care of yourself. So usually in situations like that, when we're coordinating stuff, we don't lack for food because I like to eat. So, but plan on taking care of yourself as well. And, and have your go bags ready, and which goes back to that one before that. Your food, your water, your medicines, anything you might need for that 8, 12, 16 hours that we may need you to help us out there. And how can we bring this all together? And this is for you guys' turn to talk. What is the club's vision on working together with EMA and public safety? And what can I do to assist you guys? If anything, y'all may not need my help. You are a lot smarter on this stuff than I am. But
I guess what we'd like to ask is what needs do we need to feel that you have?
Look, he turned that right around. I'm going to make me keep talking. Well, I really want us to kind of try to build that together because, like I said, I've only been here since April, and part of that since April I was out sick and knee surgeries and just all kind of stuff. So it's really like I'm just now starting to get my footing and my traction. So I want you to be involved as much as y'all want to be involved. And I definitely want us to have in place how we're going to work together. And I think we do that through those drills and exercises before we have to work together. Because I have no doubt, I mean, just knowing some of you in here and knowing Felton and Woodrow for a long time, that if we activated you guys, I know you'll do a great job. But if I know kind of where y'all are coming from and y'all know kind of where we're coming from, then obviously it'll go a lot smoother. So,
Sort of like a situation where we bring to the table what capabilities we have and can bring, and then you let us know what you're looking for and what gaps you may need to have filled in one of these situations. Just kind of get that understanding of what we can do, what we can't do.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I think a big part of that puzzle, to answer that last question, and Courtney and I talked about it in the office the other day, is not knocking anybody prior and even back when we were here, but when I was there with him, but for him to be involved in the club, to be here monthly, to know who, Michael Bryson is, to know who Bill is, and for him to be here, to be able to do that and put names, just like we said, we built up public safety and EMA when we were there to where we were on first name basis with everybody. Because I know who they are. We're going to work together better that way. If I don't know who you are, it doesn't matter. You're not going to work together. But my thought, and again we discussed it, is Courtney to become more involved here, to make as many meetings as he can, because then you get to continue to talk to him, and he gets to continue to see what's here
Well,
and be a part of.
one of the first things I would question is on the equipment side, to do, like in ambulance, would HT with an external antenna be sufficient, or are you gonna have something a little bit more power, which dictate what you gotta put together with battery and everything? Because, you get someone out there who's not, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get back into the repeater with the HT. A lot of other areas of the county you can, so I would think that. And the other question I'd have would be about, when you say identifications, is the badges that we have sufficient for ID, or are you talking about the Georgia Areas badge? Because Brett has encouraged people to be working towards getting that Areas badge because of the hospital, the hospital communication needs in an emergency. So you're talking about this club badge?
So do y'all have a local badge?
Well, we have a club badge, but then if you're part of Aries, you should have an Aries badge.
Yeah, but state,
Well, just the one we make up that has the Aries symbol and everything on it.
But Brett was talking, encouraging people to get the Georgia State Areas badge or the ID, because if you have to go in the hospital and work in the hospital with that mandate that they have, they want you to have that badge.
At the
That's
hospital?
a mandate that they have, that, really, that badge is not recognized by anyone,
Okay.
any agency.
So the club badge would be
To
sufficient.
me, I think the club badge in this county,
Yep.
Courtney's gonna know what it looks like, and
That would be the thing, as long as I knew what it looked like and I could identify it out to our law enforcement and say, hey, it's gonna say da-da-da. Does it have a picture on it?
No,
No, I would
it's
just
got our
find,
seal on
because
it.
you can,
Mine's
yeah.
in the truck.
So I could say it has the seal and this is what it says, And by that point, when I'm letting them know that, I should know through communication with Felton who's on the way. So, hey, be looking for Steve. And,
That's what we want to see.
Yeah, club badge, we'll get you back there. Marvin has it on, but there's also, again, if you're an Aries member and you have the Aries badge just like that, for you to have too, you should be able to get.
how many club members are there total?
Michael?
Oh, yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work.
51, that's including the families.
Yeah,
Okay.
and not everybody shows up, or whatever, but.
Well, I just knew, we talked about, but I don't know if they'd do 51. Talking to Garrett.
Well,
We talked about talking to our human resources and seeing if they would, if we could schedule a day and get you guys in and get you a Gordon County badge. But it would just say Gordon County Volunteer, Aries, ham radio, however we wanted to word it. But,
most everybody has what you just saw,
which will work.
and then you should be wearing that anyway when you go out on deployment. Even with your vest, you should be wearing your black badge because it's for our club and for identification and all that good stuff. So you should have that with you anyway. And again, if you have that, and if you have signs on your vehicle, the emergency communication, those are good to put on there just so they, because I can tell you, standing on roadblocks, who's this Yahoo coming up here? But if they have identification and markings, it's much easier.
Well, we got, county cert badges a few years ago, right?
right.
Volunteer
Pictures.
So, yeah, some of you do, yes.
picture IDs.
So we've got Aries badges with pictures,
The state badges?
no, local.
We'll be able to work, and even worst case scenario, if we need some of you guys and you don't have a badge, like when the tornadoes come through, what's the word? The people that build stuff back, contractors. They had to come by the fire department and register to be a contractor, so we didn't have yahoos in here ripping people off. And all they ended up with was a blue sheet of paper that certified them as a contractor because they had to go through the process. So worst case scenario, if it'd be easier to do that for our law enforcement, we could do that too. We could come up with an orange sheet of paper. Then you just leave it in your windshield and they know if you got that orange sheet of paper in there, they're just gonna wave you on through, which may be easier anyways than you having to stop and every time. And we could just come up with a certain color, and then we could get that form, whatever questions we need answered to Felton, as he assigns you out to different locations, he can fill it out, sign off on it, you slide in your windshield, then you drive right through. We just let law enforcement know. We got certified volunteers coming through, they got the orange sheet of paper, let them roll. In the back.
Is there a developed countywide disaster plan? This has kind of highlights of different types of disasters already published?
There is. It's kind of misleading by the name of it. It's called the Local Emergency Operations Plan, and we're actually fixing to update it. It's got to be updated before April of 2018. And what it does is it just assigns out responsibilities. So it doesn't give you a step through, if a tornado happens, this is what we're going to do. It identifies different disasters and who's in charge of that. So hazardous materials, Calhoun Fire and Gordon County Fire in charge of that. EMA is a secondary. So it falls back on Calhoun and Gordon County Fire to have the plans for that hazmat. Search and rescue, fire, law enforcement functions, you know, it assigns to SO, PD, and Fairmount Police. So
I was just wondering if there was something that had like number of designated shelters in the county and stuff like that. That way, you know, when it comes to the number of operators you need to assist.
the Red Cross handles their shelters, so I can't tell you. They're the ones that go out and certify shelters, so I can't tell you how many are in there, but it's inside. It's within that plan because housing and sheltering is part of it, and then that falls under, I believe, American Red Cross and DFACS is who's in charge of that. So a lot of people, when they ask about that plan, they want a copy of it and they want to see detailed. If a tornado hits, what are you going to do? Well, that'd be a 50,000 page plan. So, yes, ma'am.
You mentioned law enforcement occasionally. Do you face resistance from law enforcement?
Resist
in general. Volunteers.
I'm getting volunteers involved with them.
Yeah.
I have. Since I've been here since April, I haven't found any resistance from law enforcement on anything we've tried to do. Really, we've had
You asked them about putting us on.
No, I haven't. I haven't asked them yet. This just all came up, last week when we were talking about this thing? And that's why I say, I just put EMS in there because I figured I wouldn't. I haven't asked EMS yet either, but I know we can make it happen. So I feel confident when we ask law enforcement, they're going to be like, we're good, and they'll help us out. But to answer your question, I've had no resistance. We've got a good, knock on wood, praise the Lord, good relationship. I actually work part-time with the Calhoun Police Department, so they must like me okay. I think we can make that happen. And I meet with Sheriff Ralston once every few months just to sit down and talk and make sure we're on the same page. So I think we're good. Yes, sir.
Got two-part comment here.
All right.
All of what Woody said a while ago, when we done that hospital emergency thing, and the radio failed, and they asked us to back them up, and they stood there and looked at us like, who are you? And we stood there and looked at them like, who are y'all? We didn't know each other.
Right.
So having that contact and learning each other and working together is going to be one of the main things, and knowing each other. If this, works.
It's all about relationships. You're right.
And being net control, I was asked a question here a couple of weeks ago. Like some of the other counties, sir, may or may not be working, using search with first responders and active shooter situations or something. With our new model, would you touch on that, if and when that would be used here in Gordon County?
When the CERT team would be?
If and when it would be.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we told y'all, and I'll probably forget some of the things we talked about in that CERT class, but there's definitely going to be room for you if a disaster occurs. So first and foremost is, as the whole training talked about, taking care of your own community if something happens. But there's multiple places we could plug in the CERT team or even this group as a group, because you need, once you guys have all saw it happen. Once a tornado happens, you need somebody to help you just to sign out your volunteers as they're showing up, which when the 2015, I think it was, Snorville-Adairsville tornado come through, we run that out of Snorville High School gym. But we had to have volunteers to help control the volunteers. which just gets groups together and assigns them out to different areas, stays in coordination with EOC. So I could see CERT definitely helping us there. Then you have all the donated goods come rolling in, which is sometimes some good, some bad, because you get the stuff that you need, but you also get the stuff that people just empty out their closet and take it as a good time to do spring cleaning, and they just throw everything at you. So donated goods would be an area we could use CERT. And of course, with this group, communications is going to be the biggest thing we're going to use you for. But there will be, if you go through that CERT training, there will be no lack of work to do. If, like we talked about, if y'all pull y'all's team together, saying, heaven forbid, the spring comes around and we have a big disaster, which I hope and pray we don't, but if y'all were to pull that group together and one of you two, Steves, or you ladies called me up and said, we've got a group of 14, where do you need us? We'll find somewhere to put you, and we'll put you to work. So,
And I want to answer Steve's question about in the ambulance.
Yeah.
You would not want to take a to-go box. There's no room. You'd want a handheld with an external antenna. You would have enough to hit the antennas around.
Right.
Because of where main response areas that we're going to be doing, you would, if you had an external antenna run into your HT, you'd be good to go. Just have extra batteries. You won't have room in the back of an ambulance.
Well, I know what you can
Leave it in your
make,
car.
you can, with HT, you only got 5 watts.
Right.
With, you can take an ammo can with a regular VHF, UHF rig with 50, if you can get enough battery power in the box. That's what is an unknown right now.
Right.
Different areas of the county with 5 watts and external antenna be sufficient to get back. You're gonna need more power, just like Usnala. I don't think you can get out of Usnala back in here with 5 watts. And that's just something that go through the testing process.
Which is, yeah, that's where we can ride and do some testing. I know with a rubber duck, you never would, but if we can get out, you probably do much better. And that's your best thing. You know, big go box would be, it wouldn't work, but yeah, ammo can, stuff like that would be great. The other thing is, you know, kind of saying what you were saying too, Steve, is, you know, well, what are we going to do? And Courtney was saying, well, he's going to notify if there's ever a deployment. First things first, we all got to know this, is we don't go run to the scene. We don't go there at all. We stop, we stay home, sit in front of your fire, whatever you want to do until you're deployed. Because if we go running down there personally, just like you said, you're going to get turned around. I've been there, done that, been a part of turning people around. And it's better to go down there, because if it's activated, then Courtney is going to let everyone know. So that's the biggest thing, you know, just being prepared, be ready to go, and wait for that call, because we will have a call down system.
In a shooter situation, you don't want to become casualty.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
you don't want to run up to that situation.
no.
We're not Scott.
Barbara had, yeah,
Well, I was just gonna say, one of the things to realize, when you say you're gonna call down, it might have to really be over the radio,
right,
because
right.
Won't be no cell phone.
cell phones, the towers go down,
Mhm.
which is what everybody depends on these days, it seems like. Very few landlines around anymore. There's some, but not a lot. When the cell towers go down, you don't have anything.
Well, I can tell you, you know, ever since I've been a ham, and y'all know this as well as I do, when the weather starts getting bad, everybody turns their radios on. Might not always be on, but it starts to rain or something, everybody turns it on. Because as far as I'm concerned, we're the best source of information, because it's
That's
happening right there, and we know what's going on. And so, yes, that would be your call down, you know, in the sense of if it's not by phone, hopefully you'll be monitoring your radio and be ready for
Don't
deployment.
be dependent on them to call you on the phone.
Right.
I mean, it might happen, but
Okay, so then the question is, Courtney, if you need us, are you gonna contact us by radio?
No, he'll contact
He
Felton.
would
Well-
contact Felton. Felton would contact.
Yeah.
Is he gonna contact Felton by radio?
She's saying, how would I contact you?
Well, yeah, he's got a ham radio in his.
By all means possible. I do have one in my county vehicle, and we've got one at the
Yeah.
emergency management office. We've got one in the emergency operations center.
Yeah, one at
The
used to
paid
have one
fire
at
departments
911
have one.
in the back room, but now I don't
Where
know.
at?
911, but I don't know if it's still there.
Oh, I'm
I
not
thought
sure.
we had one in the back room there.
But, yeah, I mean, if I have to go over the radio, I'll go over the radio if cell phone's not working. The good news is too, Felton lives about a mile from me, so he can't. I'll have to drive over there and bang on his door if I have to.
He's
Help.
on Fairmount a good bit of the time.
He lives in Fairmount.
Yeah, that's true.
Go to Fairmount half the time.
Yeah.
Go to Pine Bridge. But, yeah, I mean,
Well, that,
I've not talked on the radio much. Y'all probably never heard KI4TUF, but if I'm in trouble, I may not say it the right way, and I might not do everything the right way, but you may hear me holler, help, just come to the EOC, come to the fire department.
And you know, there's a lot of,
Every Thursday night at 8 o'clock you can talk to.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of 911 operators that are amateur radio operators now, whether they renewed or not, but they probably wouldn't, you know. That's why there was one there at the point, because 911 had several operators, but I don't know that they do. Or,
Can they do, the FCC,
My
ready,
OCDs
can they operate on behalf of an employee?
Not unless it's an emergency.
right. So, well, I mean, they would, yeah, we're gonna set somebody there anyway, because they're not familiar with it enough anyway, so we would set somebody there.
They're gonna be busy
But-
too.
And there's
Yeah.
also was one at the hospital, but I don't know if it survived the
I think,
$34 million
well, it's,
upgrade.
yeah, it's out right now, but I mean, I
It
know.
did?
Yes.
It's, yeah. It's still
It's
there.
in, Dr. Jackie's
Jackie's office.
office.
Oh, well, imagine that.
Imagine that, exactly.
And Mr. Miller,
Yeah,
Mr. Townsend.
Mr. Town, yeah.
It's supposed to be one in that, sheriff's mobile command thing, because they had a project in on that a
Okay.
couple of years ago.
And there's definitely one in the Gordon County Mobile Command that's under EMA.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm outgoing, but who's interested in doing a drill and being a part of that kind of stuff? I mean, I know I'll help with it.
So
I'll
it
do
was
it, but-
gonna depend on when and the work.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, I think that's what I told Courtney. Again, we sat at his desk the other day and just said, you know, you gotta come over here more, so they can see you and you can see and talk to them, you know, on a monthly basis, hopefully, if you can't come every month, quite a bit. But getting that relationship, and then let's get involved in the drills. And I can go ahead and tell you, we'll be involved in drills.
That's gonna be the situation, and anything that happens, whether it's in the spring or what time of day the incident happens, and how many people that work, and how many people is available to respond to something.
Right. And as far as the drills, we can make it happen. Y'all coordinate with when we can get the best number there, and I can work with it. I mean, even if it's on a weekend, it doesn't matter. I mean, preferably not Sunday between 9 and noon, or Saturday, I guess, in the morning for my Adventist friends. But we'll make it work. I mean, if Sunday morning's the best and we can get the most of y'all there Sunday morning, then we'll do it Sunday morning.
You just wanna do an EMS drill, you wanna do that, some kind of drill with ambulances first, right?
Well, we might, that scenario, but we may end up putting, if I can get law enforcement to go along, we may end up putting somebody with some law enforcement as well. So, that way, like, as I said, you can, sure enough, if we pick the ambulance service to use, we'll start it at 9 and it'll be 1 o'clock and they won't run a call. And we'll just be sitting there. But law enforcement, it doesn't stay quiet on that radio. If any of y'all ever monitor public safety frequencies, it stays busy. So maybe we could put one on an ambulance at our station 1, which is usually pretty busy, one in a police car, one in a sheriff's car. I'll start prepping them up for that, because we'll end up using it as our first drill for the year. So that would be an easy one for them to do, actually. So, and a good one for me to write up. So, but we'll wait till the beginning of the year, because it stays pretty hectic between now and Christmas, and it's hard to get people together anyway. So, anything else? And I do have it. I know Woodrow's mentioned a few times while he was there. I put it in my calendar, so it's on a repeat now, and I plan on being here. So, may probably know every time, but I will be here and be a part of it, because, like I said, if we know each other and we know names and faces, it just makes it a lot easier. Plus, the better relationships you build, the better trust you build. So, and if you are going to come out and help me, I want you to feel like you can trust me, and I want to feel like the same goes. Which I've seen you guys work. I know y'all do good work.
I actually went on a ride along board and actually went on and then had people that think there was birds up in the trees and drunk. I mean, they, like you said, it's just constant for something.
Hiding behind that screen with handcuffs is not a rattle.
Yeah, yeah. He thought he was a bird. Come on. Sir.
Ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
In a threat like severe weather event or something like that, do all ambulances stay in a cluster right down there off the bypass, or do they go out to the fire department?
The ambulances,
Yeah.
they stay at their stations as long as you're not on call. And the way that is the station 1 is there on Curtis Parkway by Firehouse Gym.
Right.
We run, just a brief rundown of it, we run 4 24-hour ambulances and 1 day truck. So there's 2 24-hour ambulances there on Curtis Parkway. Then there's a 24-hour one right over here on McDaniel Station Road. And then the other 24-hour one is in Ranger. So, and then the 5th one is a day truck Monday through Friday, and it runs out of that headquarters station too. They are spread out, yes. And they stay at their stations ready to respond, barring, we know that the Ranger station's fixing to take a direct hit. So we don't pull them all the way into Calhoun, but obviously we move resources. I say we, I'm not there no more, but we move resources around to protect them people in those vehicles so they are able to respond. So, for example, when the one came through, we knew it was going to come through Snorville by the angle it was coming. I was actually in my expedition. I don't remember if Woodrow was working that day or not, but in 2015. But I staged at Blackwood Baptist Church, so I was able to get there pretty quick, which I think helped us. Not just me, some fire department as well, and then we had an ambulance sitting right on the outside. But of course, we were able to pretty quickly get. Oh my gosh, I can't think of her name now, and I've known her all my life, but. The lady whose house had blown down, I don't know if y'all saw that story. We pulled the 2-year-old out that was stuck underneath the house.
Up at Plainview Road.
Right there at Plainview Road, yes sir. So we try to stage up close to the area, but not right in the middle of the area. And actually I was trying to get to Snorville because my kids were at home by themselves, but I didn't quite make it, but they were okay. They did all right. So, any more questions? Concerns, comments? All right. Well, thank y'all for the invite. We will hopefully see y'all next month for some good food, it sounds like.